Thank you, drive-by commenter. $10, appreciate that. Say, all in all, it's still a byproduct of social media itself and the algorithm chase. When people had more time to process what they consumed, there was more emphasis on scripted media being well told. That's a good point you bring up. The culture itself, the culture of I'm going to use this word. I hate this word, but the culture of media consumption, or the nature of it, certainly has changed. It has turned into more consumption, as you're saying, because people need a quick fix. They can't just sit down and watch a show. I've talked about this before, but it's so annoying. It's so aggravating. It's so infuriating, quite frankly. When I was in school, when I was a student, if the teacher wheeled in the big, TV, or put on the projection or whatever, to watch a movie, it was like, yes, cool, no lecture day. We're actually going to get to watch a movie or something. Nowadays, like when I do teach in person, and if I want to show a movie or clips of a movie or whatever to talk about the hero's archetype, you can almost hear the audible groan from students like, oh. And I'm like, well, what is that about? And it's because you're going to ask them to sit there and focus on a film. And their attention is going to have to stay there focused on a film for an hour or 2 hours, whatever it is. Immediately, everybody has to get up and use the bathroom. Like, they can't handle that. Their brains have been damaged to the point where a TikTok video is all they've got. That's all they've got in them at that point. I even think a lot of young people who might still try to watch films or, let's say, Netflix binge series or whatever, how many times do they have to pause it? How many times are they looking at their phone while they're watching whatever they're supposedly watching? People just can't. Their brains have lost the ability to sit and focus on one thing and really process, as you say, process what they consumed. Think about it. That's so important, and I really think if culture is to be saved at all, and I'm so glad you mentioned that too, drive-by commenter. I'm glad you brought this up and threw this out here as another angle of the discussion, because it's so true. I think if culture is to be saved at all, we need people who need to relearn how to partake of story. They need to relearn how to do that. It's not enough just to listen to your audiobook on 5 times the speed or whatever so you can hurry up and get through the story or whatever. It's not enough to binge that show while you're also answering some emails or hate scrolling, something on this or that. No, stop it. If something's worth watching, then sit down and watch it. Practice, and it might be little baby steps. And maybe that's all some people can do. Some people can, I'm going to give this a half hour. Okay, I'm going to set my phone over there for 1/2 hour and just do nothing but watch this thing, Take the baby steps you need. I've told people about reading. Yeah, it's good. The goal is to eventually sit down to where you can sit there and read for an hour, 2 hours, whatever, and not be interrupted, as your schedule would allow. I know sometimes, I rarely have a full hour I can just sit and read and do nothing else. But your brain needs to be capable of doing that. And it's so important for people to build up their stamina again. Now, AL brings up a good point. Except video games, they can spend hours on video games. Yeah, and you're right. But look at the types of video games they spend hours on. Something like Fortnite or Roblox, or whatever. These are almost like the TikTok of video games. Think of a game where there's just a really solid story. It's story heavy, and you're going to walk through. I mean, I think we're entering the time where I don't even know if a game like Witcher 3, which isn't all that long ago, right? I don't even know if games like that are going to continue in any kind of way, because you have to build on the story. You actually have to sit there and listen to the dialogue, watch the scenes, process what's going on before you move on and do the quest. I think those games are probably going to fall by the wayside for a while, sadly. I really hope that we can make some change and we can get some people coming around on that. Definitely. Drive-by commenter for another $10. Thank you again. Said, I would add to this, the real final boss goes back to when Zuckerberg and co-creator warned about the effects of Facebook, but forged ahead. Now we have the same hand-waving with the data human heist of AI. It's a big topic, and you're bringing up a lot of great points. I think about this a lot because I am a crazy introvert. I've never met a human being who was more introverted than myself. Never. And a lot of people say they're introverts. I was so lucky to find my dear wife sound engraver, who's very introverted in a lot of ways, but I've never met my match when it comes to introversion. Like somebody, I mean, sound engraver's my match, but I mean, somebody who could match me for introversion. And it wouldn't be good anyway. We just not talk to each other. But because of that, I some of the technology that exists today for me personally is kind of like, oh, where have you been all my life? You mean I could have just been in my room and still been able to get some socialization in, but not actually have to go out and see everybody? That's amazing. I'd love that as a teenager. Um, so a lot of it is kind of like I love the technology, I love the video games, I love this and that, but I would trade it all. I would trade it all if we could undo the harm it's done to our brains and to culture, to people's attention spans. I mean, really, give me a stack of comic books in my stereo. I don't need Wi-Fi. I'll be fine. Um, and I don't say that lightly because I love my Wi-Fi. I love my video games. I love my internet. But it has it. Man, these social media things I've heard. It's just, and it came upon us so quickly, so quickly. I don't think we've seen a technological advancement. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think we've had a technological advancement affect culture this hard. Really just stop the growth of culture. I've done videos before where you can go decade by decade and see a lot of specific styles and specific things. But once the smartphone became in everybody's pocket, culture just sort of grinded to a halt, and we don't really see that many different things, flavors and stuff coming up from decade to decade. So it's a big topic. It's an important one. I appreciate you bringing up those aspects of it.